30 years. 30 damn years devoted to a family that fell apart in just 1 week. My name is Alejandro Vega. I'm 50 years old, and I just found out that my wife, Camila, the woman I shared my life with for nearly 3 decades, emptied our son Mateo's college fund to run off with her lover. Can you believe that? 78,000 pesos. Money I saved penny by penny, working double shifts, selling my time, my health, and my youth to secure the future of my prodigy son, a 10-year-old boy with a mind as terrifying as it is brilliant. Don't worry, Dad. I've already taken care of everything, Mateo told me with that chilling, calculated coldness that freezes my blood. How can a child talk like that? How could his mother betray him so viciously? You don't know what it's like to wake up one morning to an empty bed, a missing suitcase, and a bank statement showing charges for luxury hotels, exclusive restaurants, and designer boutiques, all paid for with Mateo's future. All to please Esteban, that con artist who filled her head with promises while draining our accounts. But Camila didn't account for one thing. She underestimated our son, my Mateo, the boy who at 10 years old can hack systems that engineers with master's degrees can't even comprehend. The boy who, between soldering wires and writing code, has sworn to get every penny back. And the scariest part? I know he'll do it. Last week he asked me with that unsettling smile he's developed lately, "Does justice always follow the rules, Dad?" I didn't know how to answer, because now I don't believe in rules either. Not after my family became this battlefield where the only soldier left standing was ironically the smallest of them all. This is our story. The story of how my 10-year-old son declared war on those who betrayed us, while I watched, torn between pride in his brilliance and terror at what that prodigious mind is capable of when it's wounded. Update 1. The betrayal and the discovery. It's been 3 days since I uncovered the betrayal. 3 days where the silence in our house suffocates me as much as the thoughts haunting me. How did I not see it before? 30 years with a woman who turned out to be a complete stranger. 30 years wasted. It all started when I checked a bank notification on my phone. A 78,000 peso transfer from Mateo's college account. At first I thought it was a mistake, some system glitch. I called the bank immediately, hands shaking, mouth dry. "I'm sorry, Mr. Vega, but the transfer was authorized with your wife's digital signature. As a joint account holder, she has full rights to make transactions," the operator explained with that bureaucratic coldness that now feels like an insult. When I confronted Camila, she didn't even have the decency to deny it. "I needed the money, Alejandro. Esteban and I have plans. We'll pay it back once his business takes off." His business? What kind of goddamn business justifies stealing your own child's future? The most heartbreaking part was seeing Mateo's reaction when he found out. He didn't cry, didn't scream, he just nodded as if confirming a theory he'd suspected all along. Statistically, 34% of Mexican marriages end in divorce, Dad. It was only a matter of time. What 10-year-old talks like that? Mine, apparently, that same night, Camila packed her bags. I didn't even try to stop her. I watched her hum a tune as she packed, like she was preparing for a vacation, not destroying our family. When the door closed behind her, I collapsed on the couch, hollowed out. It was Mateo who found me hours later. He sat beside me and without a word showed me his tablet. He had tracked his mother's bank activity, 5-star hotels, exclusive restaurants, luxury shopping sprees, all funded by the money meant for his education. They're at the Emperador Hotel, room 507. He booked 3 more nights, he informed me with the precision of a detective, not a wounded child. And there's more, Dad. Esteban isn't who he says he is. The next few days were one revelation after another. My son, the little genius whose tech skills had always filled me with pride, started using those skills in ways I never imagined. I found him in his room, surrounded by dismantled electronics, wires, and tools I didn't even know he had. "What are you doing, Mateo?" I asked, though part of me feared the answer. "Taking back what's ours," he replied without looking up from the circuit he was soldering. Esteban Morales doesn't exist, Dad. His real name is Eduardo Mendez, and he has 3 arrest warrants for financial fraud in Guadalajara. My 10-year-old had hacked police databases. I should have stopped him right there, told him what he was doing was illegal, dangerous, but I didn't. Why? Because some dark part of me wanted justice, or maybe revenge. Because after 30 years of being the perfect husband, the selfless father, the man who never broke the rules, now I just wanted to watch it all burn. Last night, night, Mateo came into my room after midnight. His eyes burned with an intensity I've only seen in The Obsessed. I got the 78,000 pesos back, Dad, and I have all the evidence on Esteban's scams. Tomorrow, I'll send it to the police, anonymously. I didn't know whether to hug him or fear him. My son, my little prodigy, had done in 3 days what I couldn't have achieved in years of legal battles. But at what cost, I wonder now. As I watch him sleep, at what cost are we taking back what's ours? The phone rings. It's Camila. For the first time in 3 days, she's calling. Seeing her name on the screen makes me sick, but something tells me I have to answer. This story is just beginning, and I have a terrible feeling my son has already written the next chapter. Update 2, a week has passed, and our lives have spiraled into chaos. That phone call in the middle of the night, it was Camila, but the woman on the other end sounded broken, unrecognizable compared to the confident wife who walked out on us days before. Alejandro, please, you have to help me, she sobbed, her voice cracking. Esteban's gone. The cards are blocked. The police are looking for me. They want to question me. I felt a sick mix of satisfaction and horror. I didn't even have to respond because Mateo, who had clearly been listening at the door, walked in and snatched the phone from me. "Put it on speaker, Dad," he ordered, his calmness unsettling. I did, more out of shock than obedience. "Mateo, is that you, sweetheart?" Camilla's voice trembled with pathetic desperation. "I'm not your sweetheart anymore," he answered, his tone so cold it made my skin crawl. "Remember last month when you took me to the mall and told me we couldn't afford that robotics kit I wanted? You were saving up for him with my money." The silence on the other end was so thick you could almost touch it. "Mateo, please, it's not that simple." She tried. Simple? He cut her off with a laugh that sounded too bitter, too adult for a 10-year-old. "No, nothing's simple. Like how it wasn't simple to track all of Esteban's fake accounts across 3 different countries, or simple to transfer every cent back where it belongs, including my 78,000 pesos. Watching him speak was like seeing a stranger. This wasn't the little boy who built robots and solved math problems for fun. This was something else. A relentless avenger, a tiny god of vengeance wielding his intelligence like a weapon. "You chose him, Mom," Mateo spat. "Now live with it." He ended the call and handed me the phone with a twisted smirk. "Esteban will be in police custody by morning. I sent them all the evidence of his scams, even added some extra details just in case." You should have been horrified. I should have told him we can't take the law into our own hands, that there are lines we don't cross. But instead, I felt a sick kind of pride. My son, my blood, was doing what I never had the guts to do. Fight back. Hell broke loose 2 days later. The phone rang in the dead of night. This time, it wasn't Camila, it was Esteban, or Eduardo, or whatever the hell his name was. His voice was pure rage. "You and your brat are gonna pay for this. I know what you did. You messed with the wrong guy." Mateo, already awake and alert, motioned for me to keep him talking while he plugged some weird device into the phone. His fingers flew over a keyboard. "You're finished, Esteban," I said, forcing confidence I didn't feel. "You scammed the wrong people." "You think I'm scared of you? A washed-up loser and some snot-nosed kid? I'm gonna make you regret you're at the Motel Los Pinos, room 14. Mateo cut in, yanking the phone from me. "You just connected to their Wi-Fi to call us. You've got exactly 8 minutes before the police show up. I just sent them a recording of your threats and your exact location." The silence on the other end said everything. Then, cursing, crashing, things being thrown, Mateo hung up calmly. "He won't come tonight," he assured me. "He's a coward who only attacks from the shadows, but he'll try something soon." I didn't sleep that night. While Mateo rested peacefully in his room, I watched every shadow, listened to every creak. What were we becoming? Was this really the life I wanted for my son? Turning him into some kind of vigilante before he even finished elementary school? I didn't have to wait long for answers. At dawn, Esteban broke into our house. I heard him before I saw him, cursing as he forced open the back door. I grabbed a kitchen knife, ready for the worst. Where was Mateo? Had he gotten out in time? What happened next felt like something out of a nightmare. The second Esteban stepped into the living room, the lights snapped on. A robotic voice echoed through the house. Intruder detected. Recording active. Live feed streaming to police dispatch. Mateo had turned our home into a trap. Hidden cameras, motion sensors, voice-activated recorders, all linked straight to the local precinct. By the time we heard the sirens, Esteban was frozen, realizing every move he made was being watched and broadcast. Mom might be a traitor, Mateo said as we watched the police cuff Esteban from his bedroom window. But I won't let anyone hurt us ever again. His words should have comforted me. Instead, a chill ran down my spine. Yartim? What kind of monster was I creating? Or worse, had it been inside him all along and I just refused to see it? Update 3, 2 weeks. It's only been 2 weeks since our lives fell apart and already nothing feels familiar. I turn on the local news and there's Esteban's face front and center. International scammer captured thanks to anonymous tip. The reporter gushes about how police received a digital package with irrefutable evidence of his crimes. From the couch, Mateo smirks, just slightly, with a look of satisfaction I've never seen on him before. Wasn't hard, he says casually, like he's talking about the weather and not dismantling a criminal. His security systems were basic, didn't even encrypt his most important files. Esteban's arrest was a media circus. Our home security cameras, secretly installed by Mateo, caught the exact moment he broke in, knife in hand. The footage mysteriously leaked to the press. My son didn't just want justice, he wanted humiliation. Camila called again yesterday, but this time her voice wasn't desperate, just broken. Alejandro, please. I need to talk to Mateo. The police think I was Esteban's accomplice. They froze all my accounts. I have nowhere to go. I thought about hanging up, denying her the same way she denied us. But some last shred of humanity in me, buried under all the bitterness, made me listen. I never knew what Esteban really was, she sobbed. I fell for him like some stupid teenager. He promised me a new life, away from the bills, the routine, from everything. From your son too? I asked, ice in my voice I didn't know I had. From me? Silence, then more crying. I'm so sorry, Alejandro. I don't expect forgiveness. Just let me talk to my son, please. I didn't have to decide. Mateo walked in, took the phone, and put it on speaker. One question, Mom, he said in that eerie, detached tone that chills me to the bone. Did you know Esteban was a con artist? No, sweetheart, I swear. And when did you find out? Before or after you stole my college fund? His voice was surgical, cold. Her silence said everything. You knew, Mateo concluded. And you stayed with him anyway. Mateo, things got complicated. Esteban threatened me when I tried to leave. He said he had dirt on your dad. That lie. He cut her off. I went through all his files before handing them to the police. He had nothing on Dad. You're just manipulating us again. Camila broke down into sobs. My 10-year-old son stood there, unmoved, like a judge delivering a sentence. No money, no lover, no family, all your choices, he said flatly. Don't call again. These are your consequences, not ours. He hung up and handed me the phone, his expression empty. Then, like nothing happened, he went back to his room to work on whatever mysterious project he had going. That night, after Mateo fell asleep, I crept into his room. I needed to understand what my son was becoming. What I found stole my breath. His desk was covered in complex diagrams, lines of indecipherable code, and a detailed map of Camila's digital life. My son had tracked his mother's every online move, every search, every message, every purchase. But the worst part, a notebook where Mateo had calculated with terrifying precision how long it would take Camila to run out of money, where she'd go for help, and how she'd react when everyone turned her away. He'd predicted her every move like she was just another variable in some grand equation. Watching him sleep, so peaceful, so innocent looking, I felt sick. What was I witnessing? The rise of a genius, or the birth of something darker? The next morning, when I asked him why he'd done all this, his answer shook me even more. "Someone had to protect us, Dad," he said with the absolute certainty only children and fanatics have. "You were too sad to do it, and Mom betrayed us." Mateo, there are lines you don't cross, even when you've been hurt. He looked at me like I was the naive child, and he was the weary, cynical adult. "That's not how the world works, Dad. People take what they want if you let them. I just made sure they paid the right price." I hugged him tight, feeling something precious slipping through my fingers. My son had crossed an invisible line, and I wasn't sure I could pull him back. "I love you, Mateo," I whispered, voice cracking. "But I'm scared of what you're doing, what you're becoming." He hugged me back stiffly like he was following a social script he didn't fully understand. "Don't be scared, Dad," he said with that unsettling smile. "I'll always be on your side, unlike her." That night, as we watched the news together, there was an update on Esteban's case. More victims, more fraud, more ruined lives. The camera showed him in handcuffs, being led into court. "See, Dad?" Mateo said, satisfied. "Justice works. It just needed a little push." I glanced at him, wondering what other justice he might decide needs correcting in the future. And for the first time in my life, I was afraid of my own son. Update 4, a month has passed since our family shattered, and the nightmares won't leave me. I dream of Mateo as an adult, cold, calculating, moving people like chess pieces. I wake up drenched in cold sweat, searching for him frantically, only to find him in his room, surrounded by circuits, screens, and lines of code I can't understand. Camila called for the last time a week ago. Her voice had lost all pretense of dignity. "They're charging me as an accomplice, Alejandro," she whispered, broken. "They say I helped Esteban with his scams, that I knew everything and benefited. I need a lawyer. I need money." For a brief moment, I felt a stab of pity for the woman who had been my partner for 30 years, but it vanished the second she kept talking. "It's your son behind all this," she spat bitterly. "That boy isn't normal, Alejandro. He never was. Haven't you wondered how he can do the things he does? What kind of 10-year-old destroys adult lives like they're nothing?" Her words hit me like slaps, not because they were cruel, but because I'd been asking myself the same questions every night. "Mateo was just defending us," I said automatically, but my voice lacked conviction. "You chose to betray us, and this is the punishment I deserve." She screamed between sobs. Losing everything, facing charges for crimes I didn't even know existed? A long silence stretched between us. Then, barely audible, Camila asked, "Have you thought about what he'll become, Alejandro? What kind of man you're raising? A boy who feels no remorse, who sees no limits." I hung up, not because she was wrong, but because every word echoed the doubts I'd been carrying. That same afternoon, I found Mateo building what looked like a homemade drone. His small hands moved with precision, handling tools most adults wouldn't know how to use. "What's that for?" I asked, trying to sound casual. "Surveillance," he answered without looking up. "I programmed a facial recognition routine. It'll detect if anyone suspicious comes near our house." "Suspicious like who, Mateo?" My son looked at me with those dark eyes that held knowledge far beyond his years. "Like anyone who wants to hurt us, Dad. People always come back. They always want revenge." His words froze my blood. When had my son started thinking like this? Or had he always been this way, and I'd been too blinded by fatherly pride to see it? "Mom called," I finally told him. "She's facing charges as an accomplice." "I know," he said indifferently. "Statistically inevitable. 68% of financial criminals' partners end up prosecuted, especially when there's proof they benefited from the money." "And you provided that proof?" I asked, dreading the answer. Mateo set down the soldering iron and looked at me without blinking. I didn't make anything up, Dad. I just connected the dots that were already there. She spent my money. She knew what he was doing. She chose to stay with him even after she knew. His logic was flawless, and yet terribly incomplete. Missing something vital: compassion, empathy, the understanding that people are more than their worst mistakes. Mateo, your mother made terrible choices, but what, Dad? He cut me off sharply. But we should forgive her. Let her come back and hurt us again. Is that what you want? I didn't have an answer, because part of me, the wounded, vengeful part, secretly celebrated every consequence Camilla faced, and that realization terrified me. The next few days passed in a strange limbo. Mateo kept working on his projects, each one more complex. Then the last: encryption algorithms, covert communication devices, even what looked like a program to infiltrate security systems. When I asked why he needed these things, his answer was simple and devastating. I have to be ready, Dad. The world doesn't forgive people who aren't prepared. Then, one afternoon, I found a letter from Mateo's school. His teacher requested an urgent meeting. Apparently, Mateo had hacked the school system to change the grades of a classmate who'd been bullying him. Not to improve them, but to fail him for the year. Wait. When I confronted him, Mateo showed no remorse. That kid stole my lunch. I told him to stop. He didn't. The school didn't do anything, he explained coolly. So I handled it. Mateo, you can't go through life punishing everyone who hurts you. I tried to reason. Why not? He asked, genuinely curious. You're happy, Mom, and Esteban are paying for what they did. I see it in your eyes every time there's news about the case. His words punched the air from my lungs. He was right. I had secretly enjoyed the revenge. What moral high ground did I have left? Last night, over a silent dinner, Mateo dropped a bombshell. The police found new evidence against Mom, he said, like he was commenting on the weather. A witness saw her helping Esteban with documents. They'll probably increase her sentence. I stared at him, searching for guilt, satisfaction, anything, but his face was eerily calm. Mateo, I asked, my voice shaking, did you have anything to do with that witness? He held my gaze for a long moment before answering. Sometimes justice needs help, Dad. Sometimes waiting isn't enough. In that moment, I knew with absolute certainty. My son had fabricated that evidence. My 10-year-old boy had decided his mother's punishment wasn't severe enough. And the most terrifying part? I couldn't bring myself to fully condemn him for it. As I watch him sleep tonight, his angelic face bathed in moonlight, I wonder what he'll become. Will this prodigy, who can bend systems to his will, dismantle lives and rewrite reality, grow up to use his gifts for good? Or will he lose himself in the abyss of his own brilliance, untethered by morality? He protected us, I tell myself, like a mantra to quiet my conscience. But a more honest voice whispers, no, he got revenge, and you let him. Maybe both are true. Maybe that's the eternal dilemma of raising a child like Mateo, a genius who sees the world as a series of equations to balance, where human pain and compassion are just inconvenient variables. As I close his bedroom door, I make myself a promise. Tomorrow, I'll talk to him. I'll teach him about lines we don't cross, about forgiveness, not as weakness, but as the hardest kind of strength. But deep down, I fear it's too late, that by silently cheering his vengeance, I've already sealed his fate, that his brilliant heart has already learned to function without mercy. And what terrifies me most isn't the monster my son might become, but the one I've already allowed him to be. Tonight, under a sky full of stars, I whisper into the dark. I love you, Mateo, not for what you can do, but for who you could still be. Because that's the real price of genius, the endless battle between power and responsibility, between changing the world and knowing when not takes two. And as I close my eyes, exhausted by the weight of it all, I cling to one fragile hope, that's my love will be enough to guide him through the maze of his own potential, before it's too late for us all.